I'd like to invite my cousins, Arlene and Frank, the people who welcomed us, who we didn't know we had family here when we moved to Connecticut. I mean, I didn't know anything. I was 1, 2, but it was such a it was really good to find people,
They're all going
find
to use the hand.
people waiting for us.
Maybe lower the other like this. It's right in the middle of in front of them.
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be argumentative, but I think I've known Steve the longest.
Yeah.
We come from a very close-knit family. His dad, my mom, and cousin Elaine over there, raise your hand. Her dad her grandmother were siblings. Siblings? Is that better? Is that, am I okay?
You're getting doubly
Oh.
amplified.
Whew.
There's a nice echo.
Okay.
It's in the way.
It's in the way, yeah.
Okay, so we have been so grateful that we are now, all of the second cousins are still just as close as the first cousins were. So my earliest memory, I met Steve when he was little. His grandparents owned a summer cottage in New Jersey, I think it was, and we'd go there occasionally in the summer, and that was all fun. Then we kind of all went our separate ways until he graduated from high school and decided to go on a road trip and came to Connecticut. And I was a couple years older, and so I was taking a summer course. And so he went to school with me, and we kind of reconnected and then went our separate ways. And then when they moved to New Britain, we discovered that we were not just cousins, but also really good friends, and, came to love the whole family and get together often, and all of the holidays that we celebrated. And somehow one of the things that became a thing with us was my brisket. And the last time I saw Steve was on my 70th birthday last October, on my Zoom birthday party, and he and Adrian wrote a song for me, and they sang me this song referencing, of course, my brisket, which I make a couple of times a year, Rosh Hashanah and Passover, and every time I make brisket now, I think of you guys. I mean, that's it. And the last time I spoke to him, I'm so happy to say, we talked when he was in the hospital quite a few times, and we talked about books and, the future, and the last thing that he said to me was, I love you, and the last thing I said to him was, I love you too. So we have enjoyed many times when the family comes to visit us. We are fortunate enough to live on a lake, and that's my husband Frank's introduction to his memory.
So if she knew Steve the longest, I knew him the shortest. Okay, so anyway, I miss him, and I actually think of him often, and I'm going to tell you why. That one of the things that he and I enjoyed together was that when he would come to our house, that frequently we would go down to the water with Zoe, so she could take a dip. And whenever he did that, I always joined him, to keep him company, but also because it was a very pleasant thing to do. Anyway, I just wanted to say I don't really have anything profound to say, except to say that now that memory repeats itself every time I go down to the lake. So I'm sort of able to keep Steve and Zoe, and but Steve in particular, sort of present in my mind, which sort of is one of the reasons why I miss him and also think of him often.
My father, as many of you know, was not a religious man in any sense. And so those Passover dinners, those Rosh Hashanahs that we would come to, that was my
That's it for most of the family.
that was my experience with religion and my introduction to ceremony of that kind, and the practice of keeping something alive by telling a story. And I think we're going to be telling the story of Stephen Horowitz for a long time.